the chair. Just if my head is at the top, just zoom out a little bit. But it should be about even.
You're good. No, that's pretty good.
Okay.
How's that one?
Good. Cool.
All right. If I mess anything up, just you can stop.
Yeah, these are your questions as much as they're mine. We can probably skip the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. What is it?
I would say we could probably skip like the warm-up questions for us. Yeah.
And remember, like if you guys come up with something, just give me like a tap so that I don't go into the next question.
I'm gonna pull Nico in now though, just so.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want no warm-up questions.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like I need them.
Yeah, they don't matter. Okay. What are some of the most memorable historical moments of your lifetime?
Yeah, I mean, I would say most memorable historical moments of my lifetime: Obama's election in 2008, 9/11. Certainly is something where I can certainly remember where I was when it happened and all that. Sure, probably the first two big ones that come to mind.
And what are some of the most impressive all-time athletic achievements or physical feats of your lifetime that you can remember?
Well, maybe not of my lifetime. One of the most impressive physical feat. You think of like Samson bringing the temple down. Michael Johnson in the Olympics, winning 200, 400, and setting world records. Michael Phelps in just incredible dominance at the Olympics. Some dominant women's World Cup teams, the '92 Dream Team. Those are some. I feel like a couple really great athletic achievements that I can think of.
And what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of croquet?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of croquet is playing in the backyard of Medina and the infamous game where Gino beat me and I took it out on him by throwing a ball at his back.
What do you mean? Can you describe that event for me?
Yeah. So what happened? We were at Medina for a family party. Can't remember what it was for. Just some summer party, and we were playing croquet in the backyard. And Gino beat me, as he usually did when we were that age. He beat me at most things. And like I usually did in most of those scenarios, I decided to get mad and throw a tantrum. And so this particular instance, I was just so angry. I took a croquet ball and I threw it at him. And as soon as it was in the air, it was like one of those moments where you kind of like, it's like when you say something and you want to take it back and you wish you could just kind of like reel it back in. As soon as I threw it, I knew it was a bad idea. And the ball hit him right in the back. And his back arched, and he just collapsed down to the ground, and I knew I was in deep trouble. Right, this was a bad situation. Didn't know how badly Gino was hurt, but of course my first concern was me and what was going to happen. And so really, as soon as I threw it, hit Gino, I was facing away from the deck, so I was facing towards the back of the backyard. And as soon as that ball hit Gino, I heard the screech of a chair on the deck, a plastic chair on the deck, and I knew it was Dad. I knew it had to be him, and so I looked behind me just to see what was happening, and by the time I looked behind me and I knew he was coming, I think I turned back around, took about 2 steps, and he was just on me. I mean, I was tackled to the ground, and so then there Dad was, and honestly, I don't even remember what happened after that. All I remember is he was on me faster than I could even think about moving, and so it was, I was helpless. There was nothing I could do, and I'm sure there was, some nice, not too kind words probably were used, and probably got a little roughed up, but I deserved it.
So kind of elaborating more about your vantage point at that moment, and describing you looking back and what you saw. What was going through your mind when you looked back and realized what was happening or about to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's really only one thing going through my mind, and that was, oh crap. How do I escape? And it's just, I had made my parents mad plenty of times, but this was one where I knew that there was no getting out of this one. Like, even if I got away from him, it's not, it's going to be for a couple seconds at most, but yeah, I mean, I took a couple steps and just to try to buy myself some time, I think, and didn't succeed.
Do you have any recollection of what the moment was like when you decided to let the ball loose?
No. I mean,
sheer
I think the only thing I can remember is just, and I feel like this is probably the same of every game that Gino and I played over the years. Only thing I can remember from that moment is just being mad. And, I'm mad that I lost, wanted to win, and he beat me again. And so I just needed to show him that I was angry.
Would you say that moment had anything to do with your and Gino's relationship up to that point? Like, how would you describe your relationship?
Yeah, well, our relationship as kids was terrible, right? I mean, we had our good moments, but for the most part, we were just rivals. And, because he was a couple years older than me, he just constantly would beat me at sports. And we also just didn't see eye to eye on anything. We just argued about everything. And I knew how to push his buttons. And that, to me, was like one of the ways I entertained myself as a kid was, how do I just make Gino mad? And so I would antagonize him constantly because it was just funny to me. And so, of course, this was, but that also, that sort of manifested itself when we would play sports. Like, I would just get really angry at him. And so he would usually beat me at things, whether it was shooting hoops in the front or playing croquet or whatever. I would just get mad because I wanted to win. And because of that gap in our age, I never did.
The pushing buttons was a gift. It was a gift, for sure. And, I mean, who was usually the antagonist in Gino and Armand's relationship?
Oh, I was always the antagonist. No question. I mean, Gino was generally pretty peaceful, and Gino was generally pretty peaceful, and I just wanted to, see what I could do to get him lit up.
Do you have a favorite fight, like a favorite anecdote between you and your brother? Yeah,
my favorite anecdote of us fighting as kids, my favorite story of us fighting as kids is, every Saturday was just a battle, right? Saturday morning chores just seemed to set us off for whatever reason. And there was one that I remember where our fights often took us, just sort of ranged through the house. It'd start in one room and we would just kind of fight to another and just kind of back and forth. And so there's one that took us. We were at Medina. I think we probably started fighting in my room, and then the fight moved to Dominic's room, and we're tumbling on the ground, and eventually we just took out his closet door, took it right off of the runners, and so now the closet door is like broken, and the fight is over. We're like, well, we need to fix this now because Dad was working. We need to fix this before Dad gets home, and so we went from like physical fighting to being like teammates in an instant, because we're like, well, we have a bigger challenge ahead of us, and that's what Dad is going to do when he gets home. So we fixed it the best we could, but Dominic says that door was never the same again. But I don't think Mom and Dad ever noticed until we told them years later. So mission accomplished on that one.
At the time of the croquet incident in question, did you know you were experiencing something monumental, or something that was bigger than the actual moment?
Yeah, I just remember thinking that I don't understand how Dad could move that fast, right? It was like he teleported to me. And so, yeah, like it was just, I was just in shock, that had happened. I thought I could maybe get away from him for a couple seconds, but it was like, yeah, like I said, it was like he teleported to me. So yeah, I think as soon as it happened, it's like, wow, that's never happened before. And of course now we still talk about it.
And just a couple questions about the details of the incident. What year was it?
I don't know what year it was, but I would guess I was in the late single digits in age. So maybe this was like early 90s, 92-ish, something like that.
Do you have any recollection for what the party was for?
No, I don't know what the party's for, but it was summer, so it was probably birthday party kind of thing. It could have been as early as like a Father's Day thing, but it was probably July, August, something like that.
And you had the best vantage point for this particular question. How far away from Gino were you when you let the ball loose?
Yeah, how far apart were we? I would say Gino and I were probably, I don't know, 10 yards apart, something like that. So, far enough that I had to throw the ball hard enough that I could have done some damage. If I'd hit him in the head, it would have been really a problem. But, close enough that it wasn't that hard of a throw to make, So yeah, probably 10 yards away, maybe 15, something like that.
And your vantage point might be a little skewed for this because your back was to the deck, but give me an estimate about how much ground your dad had to cover to get to you.
Yeah, I mean, from getting out of the chair, down the deck steps, launching himself into the backyard, I mean, he probably had to cover 100 feet, something like that. So that seems about right to me.
And 100 feet, how long did it take him to cover that 100 feet?
I mean, he covered 100 feet in the time it took me to take 2 steps. So, I mean, less than half a second, is what it felt like. But, I mean, honestly, maybe it was like 2 seconds.
And a wonderful segue to our next question. At the speed he was moving, what would his 40-meter or 100-meter time?
I think his 40 time, he would have broken the combine record. Probably sub 4.
Like Deion Sanders with no shoes.
No, seriously, it would have been incredible. Honestly, I feel like it would have been a sub 540 time. Like he was running like he had a fire up his ass, and just never had the motivation to move like that.
And if you had to compare your dad and yourself to a predator and prey, what is the scenario and the 2 examples of the animals that would have led to?
If I had to compare us to a predator and prey, it was like a great white and a minnow, I think is about what that was, or maybe like a frog with one missing leg that just couldn't really, that just could only swim in circles. I mean, the mismatch was something that like. You can't even compare it to anything in reality because I just didn't have a chance.
And is there any other detail or any other factoid you'd like to add to the end of this story?
Yeah, the thing that I'm most disappointed about is that I didn't actually get to see him chase after me. There are a lot of people who saw that whole part of it, and I just kind of heard the footsteps. And I think emotionally, I was probably the one who had some of the most impact. Gino, of course, had an emotional impact of this game and a physical impact. But I think the fear that I felt in that moment is it's probably the most scared I've ever been in my life. So it was terrifying.
Was the initial fear the moment you heard the chair squeak, or when you looked back and saw your dad moving?
I think the initial fear was as soon as I hit Gino. As soon as that ball hit him, I knew there was going to be some punishment, and I was right. But yeah, it didn't even. Maybe even before it hit him, the ball may have even just been in the air, and I realized, oh, this was a terrible idea. So it of course didn't stop me from doing more stupid things in the future. But I think that was the end of my misbehavior for the day. All right. Any others? Just hit the record. Actually, just turn it off. Just turn it off.